In this video, I want to talk about one of the coolest examples of a private equity firm adding value at scale. And this builds on the theme of how the management company of a PE firm can add value across funds. So let's dive in. I got to sneak into the Inc. 5000 conference last year as the guest of a friend of mine that made the cut. Qualifying companies are ranked by revenue growth. And according to Inc. magazine's editor, based on that criteria, entrepreneurs on the list outperformed 99+% of all founders in the US over the same time period. To my surprise, Robert Smith, the founder of Vista Equity Partners, was invited to speak. Now, by almost any measure, Robert Smith was the most successful entrepreneur at the conference. So I found it amusing when the announcement of his appearance on stage was met with little enthusiasm and a few departures from the audience. But private equity fund managers generally operate absent the spotlight reserved for high-growth entrepreneurs. Even if you oversee a firm that collectively manages $96 billion in AUM and employs 95,000 people across its portfolio of companies. I've been fascinated by Smith for a long time, and the flight to Phoenix, where the conference was held, would have been worthwhile just to hear him speak. Within the ranks of private equity firms, you have those that claim to be value-add partners and those that are. On the subject of creating value, Smith was really impressive, and he spoke to the challenge of growth at scale. Because on average, each Vista portfolio company grows headcount by 20% over the course of the hold period. With the firm's focus on enterprise software, this requires a lot of specialized talent. Per Smith, if you consider the current headcount of approximately 95,000 people, it requires hiring somewhere between 5,000 and 15,000 people each year. That's a monumental task. So how do they pull this off? To meet this hiring requirement, Vista regularly recruits, tests, and trains new hires. Amazingly, 1.4 million people apply to jobs across Vista's portfolio of approximately 85 companies every 18 months. About 500,000 of these candidates are invited to take an aptitude test. And of those, approximately 30,000 to 40,000 people score high enough to qualify for the interview process. And these initial tests are not reserved for individuals with backgrounds in software. At Vista's scale, they have to recruit across industries. By way of example, Smith communicated that they had successfully transitioned a roofer and a Domino's Pizza franchisee to careers in enterprise software, which is pretty amazing. And it probably also gives them a big advantage as it relates to compensation and helps keep costs down. Once you've been hired, Vista has established 34 centers of excellence around the globe for continued training. Asked if this was a form of altruism, Smith kind of chuckled and responded that it absolutely was not. They're creating opportunities because Vista and the associated portfolio companies require talent. But the Vista pitch is a harmonious one. Per Smith, the firm is heavily focused on helping the existing team grow with the company by sharing proven strategies across its portfolio of companies via the Vista Best Practices Playbook, which is highly guarded and secret. So much so that every time an employee downloads it, the company server makes a record of who did it, so they can control everyone who has access. Now, in addition to leveraging decades of knowledge across the portfolio to create these best practices, Smith emphasized that they work closely with founders to help them develop the skill set required to operate at scale. But the most compelling argument had to do with returns. Beyond all of the operational support, Smith's most compelling closing data point was that the average founder makes 3.8 times their money on the portion of capital that remains invested after the transaction. And Vista's fail rate is 0.4%. So on average, a founder has a 99.6% chance of making 3.8 times the money they roll into a deal with Vista. Pretty solid. Returns aside, I was stunned by the magnitude of the hiring challenge, and I wanted to share Vista's solution because I find it so impressive. It demonstrates the power of specialization and scale, and it simultaneously creates opportunities for individuals that might not otherwise exist. If you want to learn more about private equity transactions, please check out the ASIM curriculum. All right, team. Thanks for watching. That's all for now.